Gonna do a little tilt, I guess, to start this out. All right, it's free. Woohoo! So, I don't know. I've been getting. I was a little relaxed this week because it seemed, for just a little bit, that winter was finally receding. We may finally get a view of spring. But what it seemed to me happened this week is it's like the last 5-10 minutes of a horror movie. Everybody's really relaxed, you know, it's like, oh look, the snow's not a problem. Everybody's just like, hey, I'm just gonna go out wearing shorts, it's gonna be great. Hey, did you hear a breeze? What? What was that? Nothing. But it just seems to happen all the time. And I don't know about you all, but all my friends keep having car problems, myself included this winter. Buddy of mine crashed his car, just black ice hit a tree. I had a blowout while I was driving, went right off road, had to get a tire replaced. A friend of mine, this girl Melissa I went to high school with, she was nearly killed in her car. But everything worked out okay, and her family was able to get the garage door open in time. It's gonna get darker, don't worry. So, you get with a lot of frustration. One of the places that I had one of the worst winters is when I lived in Northern Virginia. I was down there for school. And where I lived in Northern Virginia, it was a town named Manassas. Now, I probably should have figured out that something was not so great because the town began with the words man-ass. Now again, if man-ass is your thing, I got a lot of gay friends, I know a lot of people into man-ass, perfectly okay. I'm just saying that I'm not really in a hurry to move to Boobies, California anytime soon. What made that area of the country really tough is the next town over, Fairfax, where I also lived for a little bit, is where the NRA has their massive national headquarters. So there's a lot of people who just are a little bit overeager to show off their Second Amendment rights. When I first moved to Manassas, I was in my apartment, didn't have anything in the fridge. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the supermarket. So I'm going around, getting all my stuff, getting my fruits, getting my veggies. I'm like, oh, I should get some eggs. Go over to the dairy section, open the case. Reaching over for the eggs, I see there's another gentleman reaching at the same time, and he's got a 45 right here. So I'm just like, whoa. And he just looks at me, man, you're surprised by my gun, aren't you? Well, yeah, people don't really carry them to a supermarket where I'm from. Oh, well, you know, I gotta bring it while I'm here. I'm shopping for eggs. I don't really understand. Why do you need to have a gun while you're shopping for eggs? What if they hatch? The other thing is a lot of people, you know, first hear gun stories, and before they're moving down, they're really excited about guns. And I was a little curious, even that little egg gun scenario. I was kind of like, okay, I want to take some interest in guns. And that all went away the first time I had a gun pointed at me in anger. I was driving to check in an apartment, going past this guy, looks like he's pulling forward, backs right into me. I get out of my car. The gentleman his fender has fallen off. He is looking at me. Now, I'm not really sure of this gentleman's height. I'm only sure that he was .45 caliber tall. Holding a gun at me. He's like, what'd you do? You messed up my car. He's looking at this, looking at my car, sees that his car's damaged, sees it could be a little debatable. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had a gun pointed at you. There's a lot of people who always want to brag and be like, no, man, I'd be like Sam Jackson, Pulp Fiction. Like, yeah, point the gun at me. I don't care, I had a gun pointed at me. Here's what happens in reality if you have a gun pointed at you. The gun comes up, and everything disappears, and you start hearing this little music. Doodly, doodly, doodly doo, doodly, doodly, doodly doo. I can put a hole in you, bang, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. I can put a hole in you, and then you'll be dead. So, yeah, I didn't decide to continue that argument. So, the gentleman's like, you okay with this? I'm perfectly okay, thank you, sir. Decide to leave. But it's just one of the frustrations you're going to have to deal with. A lot of the frustration that I also get is, if you watch a lot of television, if you watch anything, you start hearing a lot of the same slogans. A lot of people just like to talk in buzzwords nowadays. Whenever they have some business criminal on and he's trying to justify why he shouldn't pay taxes, he always comes up with the excuse, well, lots of American businesses. were started in people's garages, were started in people's basements. Lots of businesses started out of the trunk of people's cars. You know what kind of businesses start out of people's garages? Meth labs start out of people's garages. A lot of the characters in Breaking Bad started businesses out of garages and basements. The other one you always hear is, like I said, out of the trunk of a car. You know, oh yes, Nike was started out of the trunk of a car. Well, you know who starts out of the trunk of a car? Thieves sell things out of the trunk of a car. I can just imagine maybe this is how Nike got started about 40 years ago. Oh, yeah, someone from Oregon. Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal. Phil Knight used to drive his car all over Oregon, hitting people, steal their shoes, sell them a couple blocks down the road. Just terrible. The other thing that you often hear in a figure of speech, and this is all the time in commercials, especially when they're introducing a product that has already existed before, when they're changing, when they're doing version 2, is always, forget everything you know about. You just see a guy shaving? Forget, what the hell? Forget everything you know about razor blades. The other one you always hear this in is movies, especially when it's the third or the fourth movie in a series. It's always, forget everything you know about The Matrix. Forget everything you know about Iron Man. Forget everything you know about The Hunger Games. Why? So that we can justify you paying $20 for a movie you've already seen 2 times before, essentially. And besides use of phrases, one of the other things that will happen a lot, my generation especially, isn't always so good with their grammar. And the way that they will always, much like I just did, is they'll mess up good and well. If you're having in a positive emotional state, you're doing well. If you've done an action that benefits society, you're doing good. So if you run into somebody, it's just like, hey man, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good, man. I got wasted at this party last night. It was awesome. No, you're doing well. If, for example, you had gotten so drunk you had figured out the unified field theory, then you would have been doing good. Oh no, man, I did. You see, when I was drinking, I realized Einstein got it wrong. It's E equals WC squared. So you just get a lot of that, just all these people. Probably one of my other favorite ones is when people want to indicate they have a great skill, if they're apparently unable to use the word adept, they will try to borrow the Italian word spelled F-O-R-T-E. Now a lot of people think they're clever saying, oh yes, exotic cooking is my forte. Here's the problem. If you pronounce the E, you are actually indicating that you are doing something very loudly, specifically playing a musical instrument. If you have a skill in something, you have a fort in something. So if someone says to you, yes, my forte is cooking exotic food. Well, my friend, not really, unless while you're sautéing the buffalo testicles, you're also playing a trumpet. So, I think it's really difficult. One of the things that really annoys me a lot of times, you see especially in commercials now, they really have a lot of the safety warnings. There was a very cool one where you see the Jeep, running through the streets, and it jumps, lands on the train, keeps driving, and it says, Jeeps cannot jump on trains. 2 problems with this. 1, this would be a Jeep jumping on a train. This is a Jeep jumping onto a train. So the idiots still might be able to get killed and then their families can sue the company. But I think we should just remove those warnings just to see what would happen. I mean, the news all the time, it's some foreign war or a corrupt politician. Wouldn't it just be interesting to see, yeah man, we're going to jump this. Dave was really stupid and he was able to prove it today. Well, thank you very much for your time, folks. And if you do enjoy any of my stuff, I will be selling CDs out of the trunk of my car.
Give it up for Shawn.